FM. Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Citi News.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to Eyewitness News, coming to you from our studios here in Adabraka, at our studios here in Accra. My name is Salom Adunu. Tonight I'm here with
Akusia Otre.
Coming up over the next 90 minutes.
A team has been set up to receive and gather information from members of the public and other sources on suspected acts of corruption.
Mahama sets up 5-member committee to start preparatory work for its election 2024 flagship pledge of recovering all loot. Good move. We have the chairman of that committee on Eyewitness News tonight. Also coming up, the precious mineral marketing company PMMC debunked claims that some persons were scheming to secretly export some boxes of gold bars out of the country. The company says the gold bars form part of the Bank of Ghana's gold for oil arrangement. More on this later. Also on Eyewitness News, Supreme Court dismisses writ challenging the constitutionality of the anti-LGBT bill. We have these stories and more for you tonight on Eyewitness News. Eyewitness News is live across the country on all our affiliates and around the globe at citinewsroom.com. Your comments are welcome via WhatsApp line 0549 986 996. But we have business as well, and in business,
Producer price inflation rates for November decreases to 26.9%.
there is more business in the next 50 minutes. Eyewitness News is live across our partners across the country. In the Western region, this is Premier 100.5 FM in Takrady and Beach 105.5 FM also in Takrady. In the Bono region, this is Greener 95.9 FM in Sunyani and Hames Radio 106.5 in Gosu in the Ahafo region. In the Ashanti region, this is Orange 107.9 FM in Kumasi, and in the Volta region, Akpini Radio 96.7 in Kwandu, and Heritage 107.3 FM in Hohoi. In the northern region, this is Dasuma 99.1 FM in Yendi, and in the upper east region, Word 88.3 FM in Suarungu. In the upper west, this is Westlink 88.1 FM in Laura, and Eagle FM 94.1 in Wale in the northeast region. You can follow me on Twitter or X at Salom Adunu. The hashtag, as always, is Citi Newsroom. Akosia gives us our very first story.
And President-elect John Dramani Mahama has unveiled a 5-member team to spearhead the National Democratic Congress's preparatory efforts for the implementation of its Operation Recover or Loot Oral initiative. On the program, a core component of Mahama's 120-day social contract agenda is designed to tackle corruption, recover misappropriated state resources, and enforce accountability in Ghana's public sector. In a circular dated December 18 issued by the Office of the President-elect, the team includes Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa as chairman, former Auditor General Daniel Domilevo, a retired Commissioner of Police Nathaniel Kofi Boache, private legal practitioner Martin Pebu, and investigative journalist Raymond Ache. Now, meanwhile, anti-corruption crusader Vitus Azim has urged the members of the Operation Recover All Loot to collaborate with existing anti-corruption institutions to prevent duplication of efforts.
As for the individuals that make up the team, even though I don't know some of them personally, at least I can say that they form a solid team and that they should be able to do the work that they have been mandated to do. They would actually need to work hand in hand with them to avoid unnecessary duplication and conflicts. You know, these things happen. There have been issues where the Office of Special Prosecutor wants some information from the police, and the police are reluctant to give that information. Or where the president, an office, a state institution will do work, investigating a particular matter, then the president will also come out and ask the police to go ahead and investigate. And then that is a waste of time and resources. And that should be, as much as possible, be avoided. So they need to collaborate with the institution, look at their mandates properly, and collaborate with them to ensure that there's no duplication, Now, at the end of the day, they succeed in what they are appointed to do.
Campaigner and former executive director of the Ghana Integrity Initiative.
Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Let's speak to the chairman of that anti-corruption committee, the Operation Recover All Loot Committee. He is a member of parliament for North Tong, Samuel Ablakwa Okujeto. He joins us on the line now. Hello, good evening, sir. Welcome to Eyewitness News. So, what is the terms of reference for this 5-member committee?
Hi, good evening, Salam. Good evening to the distinguished listeners of Citi FM. As the statement released indicates, this is largely an evidence-gathering, fact-finding team. It is a preparatory team towards the final implementation of Operation Recover All Loot. You will recall that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the President-elect, made oral a major plank of his anti-corruption campaign. The Ghanaian people have been totally appalled at the unprecedented levels of corruption, of state capture, of naked plunder. And the Ghanaian people who His Excellency the President-elect interacted with demanded action, demanded accountability, demanded a system which will ensure that people are made to account and that all of the huge quantums of monies that have been lost due to corruption and state capture, and then state assets have also been lost because of the really stinky levels of state capture, are retrieved. As you do know, of scandals involving huge sums of money with people who have virtually absconded. I can give you a few. Carrie Summers in the infamous National Cathedral scandal has $6 million. He cannot be located. You have the Shonky Sheikhs who ended up with $2.5 million. They fled with that. You have the SkyTrain squad who said they were going to provide SkyTrain over $2 million. That money cannot be found. For Alugu Dam, over $12 million. The Japan, over $12 million. Then you have the National Cathedral, over $58 million spent to dig a pit. If you read the Shraj report, it's clear we didn't have value for money. Shraj has concluded that whole project was illegal and it should be shut down. I mean, I can go on and on and on. PDS, the whole Sybaritic profligate, Skybath, I mean, all kinds of loot that have taken place. You come to state capture, you remember what has happened to the Lomote Adote family, their properties demolished. You remember what happened to GIS. You remember what has happened to Labadi Beach Hotel. They've lost their beachfront to state capture. You remember what has happened to the other SNIT hotels. As we speak, the parks and gardens lands across the country have been hijacked by cronies of this administration from Accra to Wa. You know what has happened to the prison lands. You know what has happened to lands belonging to the Ghana Airport Company, to DVLA. I can go on and on and on. Those who have followed the oversight work I have done in Parliament, the staggering levels of plunder under this whole animal known as state capture is just mind-boggling. And the Ghanaian people expect accountability. So this is the preliminary work which has commenced, where we're putting all the evidence together. We are also expected to liaise with the general public, and in the next few hours we'll be putting out a comprehensive platform which will include hotlines, emails, web contacts, and all of that for the Ghanaian people, insiders, whistleblowers who have information to come forward and help us recover these loots, resources that we need to reconstruct our country, to alleviate the plight of our people. So that's basically our mandate.
I see, but there are already existing institutions. There's a CID, there's an OSP, there's even EOCO if it's an organized crime, and even the national security. These are bodies, statutory institutions or agencies of state with similar mandates. Why set up another committee to be duplicating what these bodies are already set up to do? Is it a case that you no longer trust what these bodies can do?
Not at all. This team will not duplicate efforts of existing institutions. This is just a preparatory team. We are coordinating, we are gathering the evidence, and we will work with these institutions. Remember that President-elect His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has not been sworn in yet. He will take over from the 7th of January, and the statement has been carefully couched where this team, it's part of the transitional arrangement, stepping in, because there are all kinds of things going on already. People are trying to regularize the loot. People are trying to abscond with them. So this helps us in this transitional period to at least salvage what can be salvaged, and also stop the hemorrhage, and also gather as much evidence as possible now that people are willing to engage with the new administration, the incoming administration, because trust levels are high, they are more comfortable. Remember that we've had an 8 years of president who became a clearing agent, who made reporting corruption very risky. Those who rather report corruption, who fight corruption, become the targets. I don't need to remind you of what happened to Dom Level, what has happened to all our OSPs, the former one who resigned and the one currently barely surviving, who held a press conference not too long ago talking about his ordeal and his travails and his Ankunam analogy, which he gave. So there's a need really for a certain fresh, impetus, a trusted team where Ghanaians are more willing to engage with that new team. And that is why the president-elect is using this vehicle. But I can assure you that all the existing institutions at some point will work with them, will collaborate with them, then they will take over. Remember that this team would not have prosecutorial powers. We don't have that mandate. And so we'll certainly collaborate with the existing institutions. So this is not a team to duplicate. And let me also emphasize that at our first meeting today, we've already met. At our first meeting today, all members agreed that this is entirely voluntary. It's a sacrificial effort. We are working gratis. So we are not going to receive any money, no financial support, no refreshment, no petrol, nothing. It's entirely sacrificial. And we're doing this for the love of our country, to help the president-elect to recover what has been denied the Ghanaian people, so that we can rechannel all of those resources to meet his vision, the reconstruction of Ghana, to create better days ahead. So it's entirely sacrificial.
Great.
There will be no financial loss to the state.
Very well. So you do your work. I mean, I'm looking at your manifesto. It says launch an operation, recover all loot to investigate, prosecute and recover process of corruption. Of course, you said this committee is to do some preparatory work. So you will gather the information, sieve it, and then hand that information over to the appropriate agencies with prosecutorial powers, etc. Is it a case that once you give them the information, they go ahead and do their prosecutorial job, or they also will have to investigate again to be sure that what you have brought them is actually the right thing before they go ahead to prosecute?
So this is a team, if you have paid attention to the careful selection, these are team members who themselves have been involved in a lot of the anti-corruption fights, who are conversant, well acquainted with a lot of the evidence. And so you can be rest assured that the evidence that we are gathering, we're putting together, will be very solid. And so it's not just about, putting together what you may call evidence which is not watertight or not foolproof. We know what we are about. These are matters we have pursued ourselves largely, and you're talking about somebody like the former Auditor General who's had force to carry out audits and to look into a number of these scandals personally and directly. You know the work I have done as part of my oversight mandate in Parliament, and the exposés that I have consistently put out, and how we have intercepted evidence to buttress the cases we have made in time past. So you can be rest assured that what we will put together will be material which I'm sure prosecutors will love when we are done with our work.
I see. So what are the timelines? You start work. When do you end? I mean, in gathering your information, you start now. When exactly do you end?
Yeah, so this is part of the transitional arrangement. So our understanding is that our work will be ending when President Mahama really settles in and forms his government, when an Attorney General has been nominated and approved by Parliament, and the Attorney General is able to now proceed. So fundamentally, this is supposed to help the President and the new administration hit the ground running, so that precious time is not lost, evidence is not lost, and all of that. So our understanding is that it's part of the transitional arrangement. When the government is fully set up and we have an Attorney General in place, then they take over.
So in the meantime, do you have the powers to invite somebody to come and speak to you? Do you have that power? And if the person fails to attend or the person refuses to attend, what can you do?
We are encouraging a lot of voluntary information. So we have asked that the general public should liaise with us, should submit information. At this point, it is not about inviting people, it's not about subpoena, because remember there is a transitional arrangement. We haven't taken over yet. We are not in charge of running the country. We don't have that legal mandate. But you can't take away the fact that there is tremendous goodwill, and there are so many patriotic Ghanaians who are willing to join the fight against state capture, the fight against corruption, and have already been volunteering information. A lot of the exposés we have put out are really information that came from the Ghanaian people, insiders, whistleblowers who love their country. And so that is the kind of work we are encouraging citizens to do. So we are not really going to be in the business of trying to summon people or subpoena people. That's not what we are about at this point in time.
Great. So what's the scope? Is it limited in time? For example, if I have information dating back to the Kufuor era, the previous Mahama era, the Atta Mills era, even the Rawlings era, can I still come forward with it, or this is just limited to the present administration, the Akufo-Addo era?
No, not at all. I mean, this is a national assignment. I mean, if you look at the membership of this team, these are people who have largely been non-partisan. In apart from me, really everybody else, the distinguished police officer, COP Kofi Boachi, Martin Pebu, the human rights lawyer, he's not partisan. Dom Levo, the respected, venerable former Auditor General, Raymond Acha, the investigative journalist. These are not people who have party cards. These are people who have worked and toiled for their country. So it is not a matter limited to just a particular regime, and that's why we have emphasized that there's not going to be a witch hunt. If you have served your country well, and you have not squandered public resources, you have not engaged in state capture, you have not taken what does not belong to you, you have nothing to fear. And so if you have information, no matter how far back and no matter who it affects, please feel free. Our understanding of our mandate is that this is about Ghana. It's about protecting the public purse, protecting state assets. And that is why President-elect has promised that in his first 120 days, he will initiate legislation, which I'm absolutely excited about, to ban politicians and politically exposed persons from purchasing state assets. So it's all in the preparatory work towards the kind of anti-corruption regime which all of us and those who mean well for this country aspire to have.
Very well. Thank you so much. The Honorable Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, who is a member of Parliament for North Tongue, and speaking to us in his capacity as the chairman of that anti-corruption committee set up to provide preparatory work for the NDC's flagship campaign promise, Operation All Loot, Operation Recover All Loot, otherwise known as ORAL. And they say that the essence of it is to go after persons who might have siphoned state money and recover those from them. Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. For those of you who do not know the membership of that committee, the team comprises the following. Honorable Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, you just heard him, is the chairman. Mr. Daniel Domelevu, former Auditor General, COP retired Nathaniel Kofi Boache, Mr. Martin Pebu, private legal practitioner, and Mr. Raymond Archer, an investigative journalist. So that is the information for you. And the NDC indeed promised that as part of in its first 120 days in power, it will deal with that. And I read a portion of their 120-day pledge. It said institute inquiries and or forensic audits into the following matters of public interest. The collapse of banks, financial institutions at a supposed cost of 25 billion cedis, illegal printing of money, illegal inflated single source contracts, COVID-19 expenditure scandal, PDS, Ijapa, SML, ambulance spare parts deal, 13th African Games, Skytrain, Paluguda, Matset, Galamsey fraud, missing excavators, tricycles, missing excavators and tricycles, Sputnik V, vaccines, the boss scandal, and many others, they say. So this, they say, is just for making some preparatory work ahead of the real deal. So that's it. The Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Your messages have been coming in quite some huge numbers. New Dig Ni Atukwe in Accra says, Salam, I believe the oral team would deliver massively. We voted for the NDC basically because of the gross corruption of this current government. Wishing the oral team great success in their task ahead. Honorable Ayuba from Yagbon in Savannah region says the team set up by the president-elect John Mahama is a very solid one with integrity, and I strongly believe that this team will definitely retrieve the looted funds by the officers of the Nanado government. In fact, this team only needs Ghanaians to support them to recover the country, the properties of the state. Brilliant Fahad Ibn Okujeto from Central Tongue says Ghanaians trust President-elect John Mahama to deliver on his campaign promise, especially the recovering of the loot from the NPP government. Nene Gaddafi Yilo Krobo says it should be excitement moment for all Ghanaians, and that the first step by His Excellency John Mahama to retrieve the loot done by this outgoing government. Let's support him to deliver the mandate. May God bless our homeland, Ghana. Now let's speak to Mary Ada, Executive Director of the Ghana Integrity Initiative and Anti-Corruption Agency, and then let's speak to her to take her views on this particular one. Hello, good evening, ma'am. Welcome to Eyewitness News. Yes, we've seen the team committee set up by President-elect John Mahama to to materialize or to help materialize his pledge to recover all the loot. What's the initiative or Integrity Initiative's thoughts on this initiative? Hello? Well, we don't have Madame Mary Ada on the line. We're working the lines to get her back. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Dennis Abasiwi in Sandaman says if the NDC wants to actually recover all looted properties and other things, then they have to review the judiciary, or else nothing will come out of this exercise with this partisan. Nothing will come out of this exercise. Babamu in Tamale says this 5-member committee should avoid complacency and do the work as it is expected. But I doubt the committee members can do their work constructively because their credibilities matter. Anyway, Ghanaians don't want unnecessary excuses from the committee. Prof. Intema says the anti-corruption agencies are equally corrupt. They have been in this country. What did they do about the impunity? The oral team should focus on the Ministry of Education, the hub of all corruption. We take a short break, return, and get other perspectives on this particular matter. And indeed, we have the gold bar story waiting, and the Supreme Court's dismissal of the anti-LGBT bill case as well. Don't go away.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Oh, jump on now. Go. Google me. Now, what time will you come back where I don't hear the sound of your car? Why you buy new car? No, I don't change my car. It be the same, right? It be the fuel where I change. Way one shouts it. Ever since I started using the all-new Excellium Premium Fuel, fortified with 3-in-1 action. Oh, Joe, now my car they run like electric car. No, it's so. This is the type of fuel where they want to. Cause now engine they cost. Where they want for way if I buy it, it go protect my engine. And with the small way I buy, I go drive, sir. Absolutely. It's like strapping a turbocharger to your engine and giving it a protector. And what they bust my mindset be the 3-in-1 action, no? Excellium they prevent up to 99% of deposit. It be anti-wear, some be anti-corrosion. Won't pay when I open there. Hey, so where can I find this magical fuel? Just head over to any Total Energy service station and your car will thank you. Hey, then make a finish my gobe fast, then rush go Total Energies. My friend, but why you hand my gobe inside? I give you info. Make a fill the gobe too small. Go. Excellium is designed to protect your car engine, decrease fuel consumption, and lower CO2 emissions. Don't say fuel, say Excellium. Choose Excellium, choose quality.
National Health Insurance.
Great news! The National Health Insurance Scheme (NHIS) has waived the waiting period for all members aged 70 years and above. All 70 years and above are also exempted from paying a premium. Enrollment and renewal are absolutely free on the NHIS. Members who are 70 years and above can automatically access healthcare when they newly register with the NHIS or renew their membership annually. You are no longer required to serve the 1-month waiting period for late renewals. Dad, mom, grandpa, and grandma, let your old age be filled with good health and access instant healthcare at zero cost on the NHIS today. Download the My NHIS mobile app to register with your Ghana card or visit the nearest NHIS office. Terms and conditions apply. For details, contact the NHIS call center on 054 444 6447 or 0302 746 447. NHIS, your access to quality healthcare. This message is brought to you by the United States Agency for International Development, USAID.
Hi, Aku. I just got the estimate for the home repairs. It's more than we expected. I'm really stressed about where to find the money.
Why worry, Musa? You are a salaried worker. Haven't you heard about the GCB personal loan promo? They can give you up to 700,000 Ghana cedis in less than 24 hours at a significantly reduced interest rate and fees.
Really? This sounds exciting, but is it easy to apply?
Super easy. Skip the stress. Get the cash with the GCB personal loan promo with a 1-month repayment holiday. Just visit a GCB bank branch near you or call 0302 634 922. Toll free 0800 422 422. No hassle, no stress.
Wow! I just got a notification. The loan is already in my account. That was fast.
Skip the stress and get the cash you need with GCB personal loan. Visit a branch near you today. Terms and conditions apply. GCB Bank, your bank for life.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
Eyewitness News on 97.3 City FM. We've been discussing the 5-member committee set up by the President-elect John Dramani Mahama to start preparatory work for its election 2024 flagship pledge of recovering all loot. And we spoke to the chairman of that committee, the Honorable Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa, on the terms of reference of the committee, amongst other matters. And indeed, brought to you that interview, the members of the committee include Domelevo, the former Auditor General, Martin Kwebu, private legal practitioner, Raymond Archer, who is an investigative journalist and retired police officer, Kofi Boachi, and of course, Kujeta Blakwa chairs that committee. Let's speak to Mary Ada, Executive Director of the Ghana Integrity Initiative, for her views on it. Hello, good evening, ma'am. Welcome to Eyewitness News. What do you say to this or about the institution of this committee? Is this the way to go, or you think we could have done something else?
Good evening to you and good evening to your listeners. I believe that it is in the right of the president-elect to do as he pleases, so far as it is within the remit of the law. And so for us, what we would want to see is that he clearly outlines exactly what it is he wants them to do, beyond just saying this is a preparatory measure. I believe perhaps because he has not sworn the oath yet to be president and taking over fully, that's why he says it's a preparatory measure. And the preparatory measure is going to lead to the receipt and the gathering of information. What we would want to know, however, is that this gathering of information, to what end and purpose, and how is it going to be utilized? Is it going to be used to investigate further and go to court? Are we setting up a parallel structure to the already institutionalized structures we have that are supposed to be fighting corruption in Ghana with a legal mandate, including the OSP and SRAJ? So those are some questions that we have that they want answers to. Apart from that, we are all expectant that we would want to see the fight against corruption propelled to a higher pedestal where action would speak louder than words. And we also want to draw attention to the fact that oral alone does not constitute the fight against corruption. There are many obstacles in the fight against corruption which the president-elect, when he takes office formally on the 7th of January, would have to pay attention to. And if he does that, even oral would benefit from it.
Can you give us any example? Can you point him to any of those places you think he should be looking at?
Oh, yes. So we have the Conduct of Public Officers Bill that has been pending in several parliaments. In this current parliament, it didn't even get to parliament. I hear it was so with the cabinet committee. If the president works on this and gets it right, gets the verification and also the publication elements in it, then we would be able to say for a fact that public officers whom he appoints would declare their assets before they take office. They would declare their liabilities as well before they do. Again, we would have a conflict of interest regime which clearly prevents any public officer from acting in a way where his public interest is affected by his private dealings. Again, we would have a very clear code for gifts as a people that will help us. Another area is the fact that we need to expand our corruption definition to include other elements except what we have currently, largely bribery and abuse of office. We need to put in that element of ensuring that the burden is reversed so that those who are alleged to have been corrupt would then have opportunity to tell us that they are not, showing us evidence. So this is very easy. Let's expand the definition so the structures of state will not go to court and be thrown out. And that is the biggest area. Just these two, if we do, oral will work very fine, and other areas where public officers take advantage of would also show. And leadership, we are beginning to see. But then, if you remember, in 2017, we had a lot. And so, for some of us, we would want to see action before we say much. So, leadership commitment as well, with dealing with everybody, would be very important. And that would also constitute respect for established institutions and propelling them to be able to do their work independently without any interference whatsoever.
Very well. Thank you so much for speaking to us, Madam Mariada, Executive Director of the Ghana Integrity Initiative. Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Now we go to the Supreme Court.
Now, the Supreme Court, presided over by Justice Lovelace Averill Johnson, has unanimously dismissed the petition filed by broadcast journalist Richard Delasky challenging the constitutionality of the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill. Or the petitioner sought a declaration from the court that the bill, which has sparked a widespread debate across the country, was null and void. However, the Apex Court rejected the petition, citing that an interpretation can only be made when the bill is signed into law. The court has also dismissed the application by Dr. Amanda Odoi, raising concerns about specific provisions in the Values Bill.
The judgment of the court is unanimous. Upon hearing the parties orally and on considering the arguments as contained in their statements, we come to the unanimous decision that the plaintiff's writ does not properly invoke the exclusive jurisdiction of this court. We are of the view that the subject of the litigation, being a bill still undergoing the process of becoming law in accordance with the provisions fully set out in the Constitution, it will be premature for this court to exercise its interpretive and enforcement jurisdiction to intervene. Consequently, we think that the action fails. It is accordingly dismissed. Reasons will be available in the registry by close of day on Friday.
As the court pleases me, Lord.
That was Justice Lovelace Averill Johnson. Now, Pakwesi Abedu, lawyer for Richard Delasky, spoke to the media after proceedings.
Bear in mind that it was a seven-member panel. That's one thing we must bear in mind. A 7-member panel. And going for a review will mean an additional judges. And the question we should ask ourselves is, would that make any difference? So we are yet to advise ourselves on it. Lead me not into temptation. I've not as yet seen the full reasoning of the court. Who am I to come openly on what next step I'm taking? I believe it is not proper. So please, let's all abide with the timetable of the court. They say latest by this Friday, we'll have the full ruling. You may recall that we filed an application for interlocutory injunction together with our rates. And the Supreme Court indicated that its ruling on that application will be determined together with the rates. We have not as yet seen their pronouncement on that. So please, based upon the content of the judgment, we will know the next step to take. For now, we are not in the position to tell us what next we are doing. I'm very limited.
Pakwesi Abedu is lawyer for Richard Delasky.
Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. The plaintiff in the matter, Richard Delasky, is sitting across me. Hi, Richard. I don't know whether to say congratulations or not, but good job done. I mean, testing the law and all of that. The Supreme Court disagrees with you, dismisses your writ. I mean, we are yet to see the reasons, though. But good try. How does that make you feel?
Well, I think that we are building a democracy, and things like this have got to be tested, challenged, and we get the outcome as to the thinking of the court on specific matters. That is the only way we are able to develop a democracy. In fact, if people hadn't fought for freedom, we would not be here today enjoying the freedoms that we are enjoying. So this is a process of nation building, and I believe that I did what I had to do. Intervene so that the courts will have their thinking told to us, so that we see how we go forward from there.
We have to see the reasons again.
Yeah.
But just remind us, for those who have not been following this, what specifically do you want the court to do for you?
So I went to court on 3 cardinal matters. First of all, I took the view that the nature of the bill required that it ought to have originated from the executive arm of government, certainly not from private members of parliament. so that if you look at the language of the Constitution talks about imposition of a cost on the public purse. And I took the view that given the fact that the Constitution anticipated that it should be the executive arm of government handling matters like this, and that this whole idea of private members' bail became a novelty by reason of an amendment to the approaches that we had used in addressing legislation or passing new legislation in this country, it was important that we conform to the constitutional requirement. So my position was that merely because the bill originated from private members, it offended the constitutional requirement that once you want to impose a cost on the public purse, it ought to originate from the presidency or the executive arm of government. Then secondly, I raised an issue with the what do you call it, the number of MPs on the floor of Parliament as of the time that the decision was taken. And Salom, if you go to Article 104 of the Constitution, the language of the Constitution is particularly clear on the subject matter. It says, except as otherwise provided in this Constitution, matters in Parliament shall be determined by the votes of the majority of members present and voting, and at least half of all members of Parliament present. If you counted the number of MPs on the floor of Parliament as of the time that the bill was passed, you wouldn't rake in more than 50 or 60 members of Parliament. Now, if you wanted half of members of Parliament present and voting, you needed at least 138 out of the current 275 members of Parliament. Now, 138 sitting in Parliament and voting, majority of those must have voted in support of the bill. On the day that the bill was passed, about 50 or around 60 or so, between 50 and 60 MPs were on the floor. And my argument happens to be that the MPs or the Parliament of the Republic violated the Constitution. And then also there is the thing about Article 33(5) of the Constitution, which basically talks about, rights that are silent in the Constitution. So you do know that if you look at the general provisions dealing with fundamental human rights of the enshrined in the Constitution, there's an attempt by the framers to say that, look, while we have stated in express terms certain rights as inherent in our jurisdiction, there are those that have not been expressly stated. But where they are acceptable in a democracy for the freedom and dignity of man, those should be recognized. Now, I went to the court to say that, well, there are people who have been arguing that these new rights ought to be recognized in our jurisdiction, and in fact are recognized, and that the law lords should look at that provision and tell us whether in their thinking and also in the thinking of the framers of the Constitution they intended those rights to be recognized within our jurisdiction. So that was the third basis upon which I went to the Supreme Court. And then, of course, I want to draw your attention quickly to the provision that we're talking about much earlier. That's under Article 106 of the Constitution, where it says, for instance, the power of Parliament to make laws shall be exercised by bills passed by Parliament and assented to by the President. And 2 says, no bill other than such a bill as is referred to in paragraph A of this article, which is 108, shall be introduced in Parliament unless. Then he goes on to talk about a number of things, but then goes on to prescribe bills which would impose a cost on the public purse and which do not originate from the presidency or the executive.
So the Supreme Court, in essence, was saying that it did not have jurisdiction to deal with the matter because, as far as they are concerned, the bill hasn't matured to the position of, or to the place of an act to occasion their involvement in the matter. Is that correct?
Yes. So, of course, let me state, as you have already stated, that I have not read the reasoning of the court, because the ratio of the court will tell us, the reasoning of the court will tell us exactly the basis for coming to that conclusion. But it was something that we anticipated when this matter was going to court. In fact, we argued it. If you look at the language of Article 2(1) of the Constitution, it says that 1. A person who alleges that A, an enactment or anything contained in or done under the authority of that or any other enactment, or B, any act or omission of any person. So the first leg deals with an enactment, which would be an act of parliament or legislations passed. Where they are inconsistent with the constitution, you can invoke the jurisdiction of the court to intervene. Then the second leg talks about any act or omission. We took the view, and I believe that this is a carefully considered view, that the process of admitting the bill by the speaker was in excess of constitutional authority, because in our view, the speaker needed to have met certain conditions precedent before allowing the bill to proceed. Because, as I argued, it was a bill from private members of parliament. And to that extent, if it did not come with an explanatory memorandum and a certificate indicating that, okay, we have done financial impact assessment.
But I thought that was brought in later by Thaddeus Sori, and the court said, not in so many words, that it was a bit surprised it was coming later.
There is nothing on record to show that the Speaker of Parliament caused financial impact assessment to be done on the bill. And in fact, when the court invited, lawyers for Parliament to present that document, which they claimed they had, they did not submit the same. In fact, as of the time that the decision was made, our side have not received any documentation to that effect, that indeed there was financial impact assessment and it was felt that it was not going to impose a cost on the public purse. Nothing like that was done. Now, we have to read the full reasoning of the court to understand why, although we had urged on them Article 21B, they took the view that this was not a fully fledged enactment, and therefore
so there was no law for which the Supreme Court would be invited to provide interpretation.
Exactly. In simple terms, that was the thinking that they pronounced today.
Great. So what's the next line of action? The next logical thing to do, to seek a review, or you just leave it there? What's next for you?
Well, so if you look at the Supreme Court rules, right? I have up to, let me take you to the relevant provision of the Supreme Court rules. So Rule 55 talks about applying for review. It says that an application for review shall be filed at the registry of the court not later than 1 month from the date of the decision sought to be reviewed. So I have up till the next 1 month to actually file a process calling on the court to review its
Unfortunately,
decision.
the reasons will be available by
exactly
Friday.
So and the reasons will be available on Friday. So at this point, we are waiting for the reasons to come out. We'll look at it critically. Of course, we have in mind the fact that this was a 7-0
it's a unanimous FC.
Well, I don't know about that. I don't.
It's a unanimous decision.
No, I don't buy this unanimous FC.
No, it's a unanimous decision.
Yes, it was a unanimous decision. But that reference
like
in a derogatory sense.
So this was a unanimous decision.
Yeah, it was a unanimous decision.
Avery Johnson said it was a unanimous decision.
Exactly. So,
given as a unanimous decision, you have a tall order overturning that with an extra 2 judges. That's a real, it is a tall order. Of course, it doesn't mean that the 7 cannot change their minds.
Of course, yes. I mean, Supreme Courts change their minds all the time. But I think the point has to be made that, look, in Pakistan, a bail was arrested under similar circumstances.
But that could only have a persuasive effect.
No, I understand. I'm mentioning it. It is not like it's something alien to the common law world.
To law practice.
Exactly. So that is the point I'm making. That the bill had not fully developed into an act of parliament, passed and assented to by the president, and yet the Supreme Court in that country arrested the bill and said that it was dead, even if the court, the president assents to it subsequently, it should not be deemed to have effect. So let us look at it within that sense. But I think it is important for all of us to realize that, look, we are building a democracy. We may not all agree on what has got to be done. But that is why it is a democracy. It is not the case that we should all have the same set of ideas as to how things should move. This matter is still very much being considered. If we take the view that there are issues that would have to be sent back to the court to reconsider, I would not hesitate to do that. Secondly, though, the president has, to look at the Parliament is now free in the meantime to seek to transmit the same, pending a decision I will make as to whether I seek review.
So I know you have your ears on the ground. The decision has just come. We've not even seen the reasons. But you think Parliament will be working quickly to transmit this to the presidency for the president's accent?
Well, you heard from the speaker some time ago that he had instructed the clerk to Parliament to transmit.
But has that been done?
Well, the last time I checked, I did not get full feedback on it. So I think I would have to do further checks on the subject matter.
Because it would be interesting to see if that will be done before the year ends, or before to be done soon, to see if the president will want to assent to it or exercise his right under the Constitution to refer the bill back to the various agencies or bodies that the Constitution says, Council of State, back to Parliament, etc. To be interesting to see how that process will play.
Yeah, and of course, I mean, that should also be guided by the fact that I still reserve the right to review.
Maybe, and I'm sure by Friday you make up your mind.
No, I have 1 full month.
Yes, but you see the reasons on Friday. If there are reasons you think you can surmount, then
exactly,
we'll see how to support.
Exactly.
If there are reasons you think, okay, this one, let's just let it go, then we'll sit down and drink, and then we'll be happy. In the meantime, I mean, Skelly and Kankumsi say you're a big man. So all right, so that's Richard Delasky, plaintiff in that anti-LGBT matter, together, of course, with Dr. Amanda Odoi. The Supreme Court dismissed the matter today, but he says he will look at the reasons which will be made available by Friday to inform his next line of action. He has a right to, or he can review that if he so desires. Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Akusa gives us some more stuff.
And President Akufo-Addo has submitted the 2025 mini budgets to Parliament, outlining first quarter allocations for key institutions. All the judiciary and judicial service will receive 276 million cedis. The Ghana Audit Service is allocated 217 million cedis, and Parliament and the Parliamentary Service are set to spend 450 million cedis between January and March 2025. Well, this precedes the Finance Minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adams' presentation of the expenditure in advance of appropriation to cover essential government operations. Here's the Speaker, Alban Bagwin, delivering the President's message to the House.
2025 budget of the Judiciary and Judicial Service. In accordance with Article 1793 of the Constitution, the Chief Justice, Mrs. Justice Gertrude Saki Tokonu, by letter dated 21st October 2024, submitted to me the 2025 budget estimates of the Judiciary and the Judicial Service. Under Article 1794 and 5, I am required to lay before Parliament the budget estimates of the Judiciary and the Judicial Service of any recommendations that government may have on them. Accordingly, I submit herewith the budget estimates of the Judiciary and the Judicial Service for the first quarter of the 2025 financial year as summarized below. Honorable members, the total of the summary for compensation, goods and services, CAPEX and IGF is 276,499,903. I would be grateful if you could cause these estimates of the Judiciary and Judicial Service to be laid before Parliament. I count on your usual cooperation. Yours sincerely, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
That was Speaker Alban Bagwin speaking earlier on the floor of Parliament.
Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We'll take a short break. When we return, it will be time for Citi Business News. Don't go away.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Hey, so as for you, every day you are just pressing your phone. Why? Are they paying you?
They are, Oma. The more I use my MTN, the more points I get. And I can use those points to get airtime, data, and even discounts at shops and restaurants.
Hey, so that is why all of you are always pressing your phones. And you won't tell us, so that we too we can enjoy some.
Oh, ma.
There's always more to enjoy with MTN Rewards. Just keep talking, testing, and browsing all day, every day to collect your points and use it to redeem amazing offers and discounted freebies right away. There's so much available for you. So dial *550# and get your reward today. Let's go everywhere you go.
Kweku, have you heard what they are doing on MTN?
like my mother taught me, I'm teaching you too. These are recipes that have been in our family for generations. Aku, this here is Masim rice.
Mama, did your mother also use Masim rice?
No, my dear. This one is a new tradition. Just me and you.
Oh, and it's delicious too.
Masim rice is grown and packaged right here in Ghana. Uses less water and is tasty from the first mouthful to the last. Look out for Masim rice in markets and supermarkets all over Ghana. Masim means tasty.
Fun fact, did you know that most frogs can leap more than 20 times their body length? Yup, magical. Now just imagine your business with that kind of reach. Take that leap with Frog. Frog is a bulk SMS, voice messaging, and IVR from Wiggle. User-friendly, fast, and reliable. Get more features on one platform for all your bulk messaging needs. Whether you're a church, financial institution, school, corporate organization, or individual, if you need to reach people with your services, do it with Frog. Contact 0553 019 529 or 0552 809 558. Speak to us at www.wiggle.com.gh. Frog, a leap into greatness.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. Citi Business News. Be informed.
Hello and welcome to the Citi Business News and Eyewitness News. I am Akusia Autry. The details. Latest data from the Ghana Statistical Service reveals that the producer price inflation rate for November has decreased to 26.9%, down from the 33% recorded in October. While this rate represents a 6.1 percentage point decrease in producer inflation relative to the rate recorded in October 2024. Here's the details.
The month-on-month change in the PPI between October and November was negative 1.9%. The producer price index measures the average change over time in the selling prices of goods and services received by domestic producers. According to the data, in the industrial sector, the PPI excluding the construction sector decreased from 48.9% in October to 41.3% in November. The rate in the construction sector decreased to 31.1% in November. In the services sector, the rate was 12.5% in November 2024. Mining and quarrying, accommodation and food service activities, transportation and storage, and construction recorded inflation rates above the national average of 26.9%. In contrast, water supply, sewage, and waste management activities recorded the lowest rate of 5% in November 2024.
That was Netili Neti Ajahu with that news desk report. Now, some economists are urging the outgoing government to be measured in touting the current state of the economy as strong. Our Finance Minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam, has expressed confidence in handing over a robust economy to the incoming Mahama administration, highlighting achievements such as reduced inflation, average GDP growth rate of 7%, and $3.5 billion in gross international reserves. However, speaking to Citi Business News, economist Professor Godfred Bokwin argued that while the government has made strong progress, the economy is not as strong as it is being portrayed.
I wouldn't use the word a strong economy. The word strong economy in itself is too strong a word to use to describe the current situation. So we've made considerable progress. What we can attest to based on the data is that the worst moments are over. From the height of the crisis in December 2022, where there was a run on the cedi, inflation skyrocketing to 54.1%. In fact, food inflation in some regions went as high as 75%, and all of that. I think those worst situations are over. We can say that. We have also seen signs of recovery that we cannot dispute. We've seen pick up in growth, GDP growth.
Meanwhile, Professor Bokwing has called on Parliament to build a consensus to facilitate the presentation of the mini-budget, warning that any delays could hinder the operations of the incoming government in 2025.
Parliament must find a way of building consensus around the passage of the expenditure in advance of appropriation. That is only their responsibility to the people of Ghana. Typically, that should be done on or before 31st December. The Constitution is very clear on if the President determines that before the coming into operation of the Appropriation Act for the fiscal year, expenditure would have to be incurred and the President will have to withdraw from the consolidated fund. Then in accordance with Article 180 of the Constitution, and then also the Public Financial Management Act, the President ought to obtain approval by resolution from Parliament so that he will be able to withdraw from the consolidated fund. So the risk is that if this is not done, then probably it may affect government operation from 1st January.
That was Professor Godfred Bokwing, an economist. Now, Ghana has spent 42% of its revenue on debt servicing between 2017 and 2022, squeezing development financing. Well, this is according to the 2024 United Nations report on unpacking Africa's debt. Emmanuel Opon has more highlights in the following report.
Ghana's situation mirrors a broader trend across Africa, where debt servicing payments have surged. The continent's external debt is projected to end the year at $89.4 billion. According to the report, interest payments alone consumed nearly half of the country's annual revenue, leaving limited room for investment in critical sectors such as healthcare, education, and infrastructure. Already, Ghana has entered the G20 Common Framework for debt treatment, joining other nations such as Zambia, Chad, and Ethiopia. The total public debt decreased by 46.8 billion Ghana cedis from the 807 billion Ghana cedis in September 2024 to 761 billion Ghana cedis in October 2024. This reduction brought the debt to GDP ratio down to 74.6%. The report further warns that without comprehensive fiscal reforms, improved revenue mobilization, and a shift towards concessional financing, Ghana's ability to meet its development goals will remain under severe strain.
That was Emmanuel Opon of the Business Desk with that report. Finally, as the festive season approaches, the tourism and hospitality industry is poised to play a pivotal role in driving economic activity. All key players in the sector are ramping up efforts to attract and serve tourists, ensuring a boost to local economies and businesses. The national president of the Ghana Hotels Association, Dr. Edward Akanyamike, maintains that anticipated increases in tourist arrivals during this period present a significant opportunity for revenue growth.
I am sure we all agree that we've had a very peaceful election, but for the pockets of challenges that we've been hearing around. But generally, it's been a very peaceful election. And I'm sure Ghanaians are looking forward to a very peaceful Christmas as well. And the Christmas that will be enjoyable. And once the Christmas is going to be enjoyable, it means that there's going to be high patronage of hotel facilities and then the hospitality facilities around as well. So we look forward to a very busy Christmas. Our hotels are going to be very busy. And of course, that will take your patronage to make it very busy for us.
National President of the Ghana Hotels Association, Dr. Edward Akanyamike there. That wrapping up the Citi Business News and Eyewitness News. My name is Akosia Ochi. Do stay with us. Up next is Point Blank.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
Hey, so as for you, every day you are just pressing your phone. Why? Are they paying you?
They are, Oma. The more I use my MTN, the more points I get. And I can use those points to get airtime, data, and even discounts at shops and restaurants.
Hey, so that is why all of you are always pressing your phones. And you won't tell us so that we too we can enjoy some.
Oh, ma.
There's always more to enjoy with MTN Rewards. Just keep talking, testing, and browsing all day, every day to collect your points and use it to redeem amazing offers and discounted freebies right away. There's so much available for you. So dial *550# and get your reward today. Let's go everywhere you go.
Kweku, have you heard what they are doing on MTN?
Oh, jump on now. Go. Gugomi, at what time will you come back where I don't hear the sound of your car? Why you buy new car?
No, I don't change my car. It be the same right. It be the fuel way I change. Way one shouts it. Ever since I started using the all-new Excellium Premium Fuel, fortified with 3-in-1 action. Oh, Joe, now my car they run like electric car. No, it's so.
This is the type of fuel where they want to. Because now engine they cost. Where they want for way if I buy it, it go protect my engine. And with the small way I buy, I go drive, sir.
Absolutely. It's like strapping a turbocharger to your engine and giving it a protector. And what they bust my mindset be the 3-in-1 action, no? Excellium they prevent up to 99% of deposit. It be anti-wear, some be anti-corrosion. Won't pay when I open there.
Hey, so where can I find this magical fuel?
Just head over to any Total Energy service station and your car will thank you.
Hey, then make a finish my gobe fast, then rush go Total Energies. My friend, but why your hand my gobe inside?
I give you info. Make a fill the gobe too small.
Go.
Excellium is designed to protect your car engine, decrease fuel consumption, and lower CO2 emissions. Don't say fuel, say Excellium. Choose Excellium, choose quality.
New Kivo Hot Pepper Powder. Loco show. This advert is FDA approved.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
"21 minutes to the top of the hour. This is Point Blank on Eyewitness News. My name is Selom Adunu. Tonight on Point Blank, we look at the happenings around the National Assay Center. The Precious Mineral Marketing Company, the PMMC, has accused Joseph Yamin, the national organizer of the National Democratic Congress, of leading a mob in an alleged attempt to forcibly seize bullion bars being processed for the Bank of Ghana. In a statement, the PMMC disclosed that the incident took place on Tuesday, December 17, 2024, between 4 p.m. and midnight. The company condemned the act, describing it as a threat to national security and the smooth operations of its mandate. Managing Director of the Precious Mineral Marketing Company, Nana Kwesi-Ewa, is my guest tonight on Point Blank. Hello, Nana. Good evening. Welcome to Point Blank.
Good evening, my brother. How are you?
Very good, and I guess you're doing well too.
I am well, except that I am a bit shaken by the events of yesterday, as I believe my staff equally have been as well. But I've had to demonstrate some strength and encouragement so that we can keep forging ahead in these difficult times.
I see. So talk to us about the event. I mean, what happened, the incident that happened yesterday. You said the PMMC was in the process of carrying out its mandate at the National Assay Center located at Avian's cargo terminal when you said a mob led by the NDC's Joseph Yamin got to the place and wanted to seize everything. Is that the case? Talk to us about what really happened.
Yes. Thank you for this opportunity to expatiate on this yesterday. So PMMC, as you know, is a precious minerals marketing company, and it has a mandate set up by law, which is the PNDC Law 219. So first of all, PMMC is a state-owned company. It belongs to the government of Ghana. It belongs to the people of Ghana. Now, in its establishment legislation, one of the functions or the mandates that is given by Parliament to PMMC is to grant trading licenses for people or persons who want to engage in gold trading as far as the small-scale sector or ASM sector is concerned. Beyond that, PMMC also engages in jewelry manufacturing, and then, of course, it also acts as the sole implementing agency when it comes to the diamond trade or the diamond exports, which is under the Kimberley Process Certification Scheme. And then a key role that PMMC plays is that it acts as the national assayer. And so you have the National Assay Center or the laboratory at the premises or the precincts of the Avian's cargo terminal. Now, as national assayer, let me explain that role. As national assayer, what it means is that for all the gold that leaves this country, so long as you make a decision that you want to export the gold legally, if you want to export the gold legally, then you take it through PMMC. Now, what does this do? And we do this for both the large-scale mining companies and the small-scale mining companies. So with large-scale, like the Perseus and all of that, they all come through PMMC for assaying before the gold goes. Then for the small-scale, the ASM, that is people who have export licenses granted by law to export gold, also come through PMMC. Now, two key things this does. One is to ensure that whatever is leaving is actually gold. So it provides quality assurance, and then also it provides revenue assurance. So for the large scale, once we do the assay, we send the reports to the relevant agencies, government is then able to tell that this is the actual quantity of gold that has left the shores of this country being exported by this particular company, and this is the tax payable on it, or these are the royalties. That's number one. Then for the small scale too, for their tax regime, because we assurance is that we are able to tell government that because this is the value of gold leaving or being exported, this is the tax payable by company X on the gold that is being exported. So this is essentially the role that PMMC plays. Now, over time, PMMC developed a relationship with the Central Bank, which is the Bank of Ghana, when it launched the Domestic Gold Purchase Program in June 2021. The Domestic Gold Purchase Program was a brainchild of this government, where it found that since independence of this country, although has been mining gold for over 100 years, would only boast of 8.7 tons of gold in its gold reserves. Since independence, for a gold mining country like Ghana, we could only boast of 8.7 tons. And so this government saw that, no, this is not a record that is good for us. And therefore, it was necessary for the central bank to take steps to shore up or build its gold reserves. And so, thankfully, in June 2021, the central bank launched the Domestic Gold Purchase Program and then collaborated with PMMC to facilitate the aggregation and accumulation and procurement of the gold from the ASM sector. And that is how the relationship between PMMC and the central bank began as far as the domestic gold purchase program is concerned. And so yesterday's incident happened to be a day when we were carrying out our normal duties and functions and operations as PMMC, supporting the central bank in execution of the domestic gold purchase program. When all of a sudden we saw a mob storm the assay lab, and then that mob was led by Mr. Joseph Yamin. He introduced himself, he identified himself. In fact, he is in the videos. He introduced himself, and the mob threatened the staff over there, threatened men in uniform over there, customs people and all of that over there, who are all part of the process. Like I said, if you are exporting gold legally, since it comes through PMMC, there are other agencies like customs, national security, aviation security. All these agencies come on board to inspect, to ensure that whatever is going, there's no contraband in there. So they were all there, and they were all concerned about what was happening. Mr. Yamin insisted that he wanted to have access to the gold.
Wanted to have access to the gold? How? He wanted to see the gold, or he wanted to have the gold?
He wanted to see the gold, and this is a high-value commodity. The security arrangements around it is very high, and so we cannot allow.
He wanted to have access to it as what? In his capacity as what?
We have no clue what capacity he came there in to be able to say that I want to have access to the gold. We have absolutely no clue.
I see. So you say that the work of the assay lab is to do all the things you've talked about, and it's an everyday job they do. What in your view what in your view accounts for what happened yesterday? Since it's an everyday job, and we've not had this happening every day, and it's not as if the mob or they were coming to steal. They came for a specific purpose. We don't know what that is. I don't know if you know. They came for a specific purpose. Why did they come yesterday and not any other day?
Okay. Mr. Yamin came and said that they had received information or intel that there was gold being smuggled out of the country, which sounded so ridiculous, because I'm asking myself that if he really understood gold operations, nobody in this country who intends to smuggle gold would ever bring it to PMMC. Nobody. Anybody who wants to smuggle gold would never ever bring it to PMMC, because the moment you bring it to PMMC, there's full transparency.
I see.
Full transparency. But this is the reason why he came there, leading that mob to stop and disrupt the processes that were ongoing. And I am informed that some persons who tried to intervene in the matter were manhandled and beaten.
By the people he came with?
Yes, and there were threats that nobody should video the incident, and that if you attempted to video, you are going to be taken care of.
But about how many people did Joseph Yamin come to the place with? Can you tell?
From the report that my staff, my technical director gives me, in an estimation there were over 100 people who had amassed there.
You said in your statement that it is worthy to know that a private exporter who is duly licensed to carry out exports was also affected by this unfortunate incident. Who is this private exporter?
This is a private exporter who has a license duly granted by law to export gold. Because of the nature of our job, I cannot disclose to you exactly who this person is.
Very well. But can you say or tell whether this person is politically exposed?
No, the person is not politically exposed. This is a person who has been doing shipments for the longest time ever.
But could it be that
the quantity that was being exported was very small? These are people engaged in legitimate business.
And so did the mob add the private exporter to the whole thing? They did.
The mob added them. The mob added the private exporter. So as we speak, that private exporter's gold has been lumped up together with the gold belonging to the central bank, unfortunately. Now, what this means is that whatever they are dealing with on the other side to export gold is going to be breached by virtue of this. Now, what this does is that it creates a sense of fear so that investors, foreign investors who have for the longest time had confidence in our gold trading and export procedures and system would no longer have that same level of confidence. Because I'll tell you what, Salom, in 2018, under this government, Ghana became the number one producer of gold in Africa. You know how that came about? Out of that figure, the small scale sector, which is the ASM sector, accounted for about 40% of gold export, total gold exports. 40%. Now, how you put this in place is that you create a conducive environment where people feel confident that if I am bringing my gold to PMMC, I wouldn't have any problem. So people are then encouraged to send their gold through the legal means, through the legal channels outside through PMMC. Look, not only 2018, in 2023, just last year, Ghana regained its position as the number one producer of gold in Africa. Once again, not by the fact that no work was done, but because of diligent efforts to ensure that we regain that position that we lost since 2018.
Will I be right to think that the presence of this private exporter, private licensed exporter at the National Assay lab yesterday could have caused the activities of the mob, even though their activity is not justified?
Salom, not at all, because when they came, the first thing they did was to go after the PMMC bullion van, which was carrying the gold bullion belonging to the central bank.
So the gold belonging to the central bank was not even being processed for export?
It was being processed.
For export?
Yes, it was being processed.
And so they felt that it was being processed for export.
Smuggled.
I mean,
They felt
illegally.
that it was being smuggled. But who smuggled gold through PMMC? With all that transparency.
I see. So when you went to the police, so the police eventually came into the matter, ferried the bars to the police station, etc. What is the latest now? And if you can tell us how much gold was involved in all?
Well, the police, yesterday, the consensus arrived at was that the gold was going to be kept at the police, which is the Greater Accra Police Command. So it was there. My men had to sleep there. They had come to work that day and they did not go home. Look at the dedication from these men, carrying out functions, lawful functions for the state. And they have to spend their time there, leaving their homes, their families, their wives and children to sleep there because of this mob led by Mr. Yamin.
I see. Can you tell us how much gold was involved?
As we speak,
yeah.
As we speak, today, since morning, there have been negotiations. There was a gentleman who came who had identified himself as Alhaji Yahaya. He came accompanied by a lawyer known as Lawyer Fenu, representing the NDC. PMMC representatives were there as well. Bank of Ghana representatives were there as well. The eventual consensus arrived at was that the exports would not proceed, but however, they will put their seals on the bullion boxes and then the gold will be taken to the central bank's vault at Spintex Road, which is what has happened as at the time I'm now speaking to you.
Yes, I wanted to find out how much gold was involved, but it does appear you don't want to say. But why should this be? Why should?
It's like asking me. No, hold on. It's like it's like asking me to tell you the the balance on the. Let's say I'm a banker.
No. If you don't, no problem at all. I can understand. So if it's something you cannot divulge, I mean, no problem at all. I understand.
Excellent.
But I'm saying that why should this be?
Because these are sensitive matters.
I get that. I perfectly understand.
Well.
But my concern is at the police station. Why should this be a matter of negotiation? I mean, why should it be a matter of negotiation? What were the arguments? That PMMC was doing its job, and some people have come to say it shouldn't do its job, and so we are here to enforce that. What was the argument really? Because if you say they came with lawyers and things trying to negotiate, I'm wondering what that is. And eventually, they succeeded in thwarting what PMMC wanted to do. That is the export of the gold, which means that the police perhaps saw some merit in the argument. Was that not the case?
Certainly not. It is not the place of the police to see merit and decide on what to do, but rather to bring about peace and calm, maintain law and order. And so, seeing that the mob had still gathered at the regional police command, I think that the best thing that happened in order to bring about peace and calm was that consensus that was arrived at, which is that the gold will be kept at the central bank's vault, because in any case, that gold belongs to the central bank on behalf of the state and people of this country.
Because what we heard from the outside, and your explanation came in timely or handy, what we heard from the outside was that some elements of government were trying to ship out some gold quickly as the days of this administration was ending. So I'm at a loss why in the end the police, knowing all these facts, will make the gold return to the Bank of Ghana vault.
Salom, I can emphatically tell you that it is false, it is not true. And I've told you that there is a paper trail for all of this. There is documentary evidence for all of this. And once you bring the gold through PMMC, there's too much transparency. You can't hide anything about it. Absolutely nothing. And so if anybody wanted to smuggle gold, I beat my mind why that person
will come through PMMC. I see.
It doesn't make sense to me.
I see. So now what will you do? I mean, will you still try to export it to the partners you want to export it to, or that's the end of it?
Like I indicated, the gold does not belong to PMMC. It belongs to the central bank on behalf of the government of Ghana and on behalf of the good people of this country. The decision as to what to do to that gold is entirely up to the central bank. But I do recall that at today's meeting, the gentleman who showed up for the NDC also indicated that he was a representative of the transition team of the president-elect. So as far as that is concerned, I believe that whatever that consensus that was arrived at was in the interest of peace and calm, so that at least that gold, the value of that gold is not lost. Because, Salom, anything could have happened. Imagine if the mob had just rushed onto the bullion and then everybody picks a bar. That is Ghana's money being dissipated. How do you account for that?
I see. Interesting. All right, Nana, thanks so much for the job you've been doing, and thanks so much for speaking to us this evening and clearing the air on this matter. We'll be keeping our eyes on that space to bring listeners, apprise listeners of any update that may arise from that. This is Point Blank on Eyewitness News, and that's how we conclude today's edition of the program. Show produced by Nana Kwabna Wilson, Beverly London, and Sami Wiafi. Technical assistance provided by Daniel Squashi. Earlier you heard Akosia Ochri. My name is Selom Adunu. Up next is the EPL game between Arsenal and Crystal Palace at the Emirates Stadium. And the gentleman from the sports desk in the studio to give us some pre-match analysis before the match takes off. Gabi Ofer is already here. Yaminta will join him shortly. So have a good evening.